So if you and the rest of this government are truly for the American people and representatives of us, I suggest this time you listen, because nobody wants another war or strike in Syria or anywhere else. Bring our brothers and sisters home. I am truly disgusted that you people are my leaders.
Welcome to the Rage Against the Regime podcast, where the status quo gets taken to task. Call in or text your comments to 256-344-RATR. That's 256-344-7287. And now, here are your hosts, Blaine and Bobby.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rage Against the Regime show. I'm your host, Bobby, who's the man. And today I'm going to have our engineer man himself, Tyler Jones, join the show with us. Say hello, Tyler Jones.
Hi there. Hello. Hi.
Hi there. Blaine Cooper couldn't join us today. When I spoke with him a little while ago, he was actually going to sleep. I think that he may have been up at the Bundy Ranch last night. He's been transporting people back and forth and so on and so forth. So, Blaine couldn't join us today, but that doesn't mean you people can't listen to us.
That's right.
Right. There you go. Today's topic, I think, is a topic that kind of scares people a little bit, but I think it's a good topic to talk about. And that would be the Yellowstone National Park supervolcano. Have you heard anything about the supervolcano before?
I've heard of Yellowstone National Park, and I've seen videos and stuff of it, but I've never heard of anything like that going on underneath it, or what have you.
Well, see, this is what scientists, depending on what side of the fence you're on,
so it's politically charged. So would you say it's a political issue, or would you say it's just science versus theory?
You know what? I think a lot of it has to do with. I think that the government is either trying to hide something or they're trying to scare us.
So it's those
into a police state.
I see. So it's science versus government cover-up.
Well, here, let me tell you what both sides are doing. Okay, one side of the spectrum is saying that there's never going to be a volcano. It's not going to erupt. Anytime in our future, they think it's going to be thousands and thousands of years from now, and, they think that it's like, nothing to worry about. And then there's the people that are like, not working for the government and stuff, that are saying, hey man, you people better start making, some plans, because this thing is about to start to go kaboomy real soon here.
Now, how many lives would be devastated by the effects of something on that magnitude?
Well, they're saying anything within 100 miles is dead. And up to 1,000 miles will be covered with ash. So 1/3 of the United States will be gone.
Oh, my God.
1/3 of the United States will be gone.
Well,
now, there's websites out there right now that are releasing stuff saying that the United States has made pacts with different countries to send the United States and American citizens and so on and so forth over to some of these countries so we have a place to live. But here, let me ask you one question. Nobody knows, okay, just like any other natural disaster or whatever, nobody has a fucking clue when this thing is going to go off, okay? I don't care how many cameras are watching, how many computers you have hooked up to it or anything else. You are not going to know when this thing is coming. You have no time to react.
I mean, yeah, look at us with tornadoes. We can kind of tell when one's going to happen, but, you don't have a lot of time to evacuate most times.
Well, I think that this is something on a way different level than anything like that because, over the years, okay, they say the last time that we actually had one of these super volcanoes, I mean...
Was it Mount St. Helens?
Probably going to say, that's not the right amount of years. It was over 600,000 years ago.
Well, would Mount St. Helens be on that map at all? Or would that be dwarfed by this upcoming possibility?
Well, they say that these things happened every 600,000 years or 300,000 years or whatever it is. I don't know the exact years. I don't think they do either. But what they're trying to say, though, is this thing is ready to go. That underneath it has been more active than it's ever been. A lot of people are saying that, there's something to look out for. Now, I don't know if you've seen the videos of the animals running from one end of, the Yellowstone National Park to the other. Have you seen that video online?
I haven't seen that, but I can only imagine what the animals feel that they're not using technology to detect. They're just like, oh, this does not feel right. Let's get the hell out of here.
Well, I agree with you. But, I actually called Yellowstone myself, and they say that happens all the time, that the bison run from one end of the park to the other because, after winter time, now it's time to eat. They kind of come out of hibernation type thing.
I see.
If that makes any sense.
They're trying to brush it off.
You know what I mean?
Oh, nothing to worry about.
So I think that's kind of debunked, but, there is other issues now. I do look at the cameras. I follow the cameras at Yellowstone National Park because I've been intrigued by this. And, they're always up and everything, but I must tell you, within the last 2 weeks, the cameras have went down about 4 or 5 times that I know of myself.
So they're going to probably just say, technology upgrades, server upgrades, security fixes, whatever. They're just going to play that off.
Well, it could be that, but 4 or 5 times,
Well, sometimes patches mess things up, but I don't know. It's the cameras, I guess. I'm not sure what they have for technology, but you'd think once you do it twice, that should be enough. Unless, I don't know, they got some genius working in the IT department.
I actually think that it may be something a little bit bigger here. I think that something's going on and that they're trying to hide it. Because remember I told you that, the United States made a pact with some countries and, for us to go over there if something happens. Well, that was on the internet a couple days ago. Now, if you click on the link, you get a 400 error code.
400, what is that?
Why would that?
I know 500 is...
Well, 400 means that it's like an error code that you can't see it now. It's kind of like something was on the internet, and now it's going to take it off. It's like a 400 or a 404 error code.
404 means not found. 400 means something else. 500 means there's something wrong and it's not going to be able to respond.
Okay, I think it was a 404.
I see.
So, it's like, who do you listen to? Who do you pay attention to? Whatever. There's even people taking pictures from outer space, showing the United States and showing the Earth and everything. And right where Yellowstone is, there's a black spot. Now, they say the black spot means hot, heat. So, over Yellowstone National Park, everywhere else is these pretty colors and everything, and over Yellowstone National Park, there's a big black spot.
Black meaning no data, or black meaning temperature out of range? What are they using? Thermal, some kind of thermal imagery from a satellite?
Right. I believe that's what it is. I believe it's, some kind of thermal camera or something that they have on one of the satellites that's out in outer space. And, it takes pictures of the Earth, from out there, and it shows all the different colors, like there'll be, like, I don't know, the red, yellow, green, whatever, but right where Yellowstone is, it's black. So,
little suspicious.
But not trying to scare people, but are any of you prepared? I mean, what kind of plans do you people have if something like that happens?
Well, on a personal residential level, absolutely none. My insurance probably doesn't cover anything like that, and I certainly don't have any evacuation plan set in stone at this time, but how can you plan something like that even on a household level? It seems impossible, let alone for the government to take care of.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can, and I think by the time you would even think of trying to get anywhere, I think, anybody within that certain, couple 100-mile radius or whatever is probably not going to be around anymore. 1/3 of the United States. I mean, and that's pretty serious. But now, what do you think it is? Do you think that the government is actually trying to scare us into a police state everybody gets scared. Let's go run to the government because the government can help us. And, run to the government, safety, they can help us out. Or do you think that they're actually trying to hide something?
My impression is that they probably try to hide it to avoid panic as long as possible, and then when stuff hits the fan, then they'll start being like, okay, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing. But if everyone's... if you have...
have you ever... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
If you have half the United States in a panic, that's another problem into itself. There's, people, jackballs go and loot shit, and there's all kinds of crime born out of panic. And, panic versus natural disaster, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But why not hold off the panic until the absolute bitter end? I guess that's why they're hiding it. That's my guess.
Right. Well, now, have you seen any of these underground caverns that they have?
No, underground cabins?
Yeah, now, the government has been building these underground military bases inside of mountains and, all over the place. They have, all these hidden military bases that are deep inside of these mountains, and they have these big doors on them and everything. And, to be able to get inside of this place, do you think that anything's going to really be able to penetrate a mountain? I mean, even if it is a natural disaster, I think it would be pretty damn hard to penetrate a mountain. You know what I mean? So I think that the super elite, the rich, the military, so on and so forth, I think they're trying to plan to have a place to run and hide for themselves, but not for the average everyday Joe like you and me.
Well, isn't that nice for them?
Yeah, right? You know what? Let's go out and make our first billion, and maybe we'd be considered,
Right.
But, yeah, it's all over the place, and, you can see the videos on YouTube and stuff of, these super bunkers, I guess you could say, that, they have these doors that are probably about 2 or 3 feet thick, and airtight and, and everything else, and they're stocked with food, and they have, living quarters and, apartments, and probably even goddamn golf courses and shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Osama bin Laden used caves, so maybe the U.S. has taken a little bit of a example, I guess.
Yeah, maybe when SEAL Team 6 went over there, and, if they went over there, you think maybe they took some pictures and said, now this is how we got to live?
We can do it better. Let's put computers in the cave.
Right. Yeah, we're American.
Central
we're
air.
United States. We always do things better. Right? So yeah, I just can't fathom in my mind, if this is really the case and everything, and they supposedly made all these plans with all these other countries and all this other stuff. They really must be monitoring this, themselves. And they probably see something coming, but they just don't want to tell us about it.
Well, if they can move those evacuation plans far before the disaster, if they can get people out of here before stuff actually happens, wouldn't it be amusing if the disaster was at a higher magnitude and it actually took out their little bunkers and caves while we were all safe in Paris?
Yeah, right. You never know, who knows, what the power and the capabilities of this could be. Because they say that when this volcano goes off, the super volcano goes off, it's going to be 1,000 times greater. 1,000 times greater than Mount St. Helens.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. It's going to go 25 miles into the air and just start spreading, and sending ash all over the place.
It'll be a hell of a sight, hell of a party, but we won't be around to see it because we'd be burned up to a crisp.
Well, I can tell you something, pal. I think we're okay. Because from my house, now I pay attention to this, from my house to Yellowstone National Park, I'm 1,300 miles. You, on the other hand, are a lot further than that. So I think we're kind of okay in this ordeal. But, I mean, that's just technically speaking.
So,
I mean, are we really going to be okay? No, because there's going to be ash spread all over the United States, and temperatures are going to change, and so on and so forth.
That and 1/3 of the population will be dispersed amongst the other 2/3, and it's going to get pretty crowded for the places unaffected.
Like you said, it sounds like a whole lot of looting and craziness and pandemonium, and that's probably when the government's going to start putting those little FEMA camps that they've been setting up all over the place, and and all those little plastic coffins that they went out and spent all that money on and everything. That's probably what they're going to start doing, because people are going to have houses and stuff. Oh, come on into our nice little FEMA camp and be our prisoner.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess the question should be asked that if the government's ideas on how to manage this kind of thing are wrong, what are the right ideas?
What are the what?
What do you do with everyone?
Well, I mean, like I just said, they don't really have a choice. Now, is this? I know I brought it up to you before. Have you ever even taken a look on the internet to see the FEMA camps? Do you even know what it is?
No, I don't think I have. No.
Okay, FEMA camps are, I guess you could say it looks like a prison. It's got houses and big barbed wire fences and guard stations up in the sky and, those big towers. It looks just like a prison. And they're putting them in all over the place. If you ask them, they'll tell you that they're not.
Yeah.
But you can go on the internet. People go out to them all the time and take pictures and videos and show the whole thing and get chased off by security.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what it is. I think that's what their plan is they're going to start, saying, hey, sorry for your loss and this and that, and you don't have a house right now, but until we find you one, come on over here and stay in this little camp that we have set up for you.
So it's like a homeless shelter on steroids, but it kind of looks more like a prison.
Well, I don't know if you have the internet there right now.
No, absolutely not.
I was going to say, well, later on, you could type in Google, whatever, and look up FEMA camps, or go on YouTube. There's a million of them on there. And it's what it is it's a big fenced-in community with towers, like I said, and it's got houses, like little huts set up all over the place, not where one family can live. It's kind of like a dorm, I guess you could say, where they plan on putting maybe 50 people or 100 people or whatever, shoving them all into a little, building and keeping them fenced in and then, even people that went out to these places that got chased off by security said, hey, how come there's armed guards here? If this is going to be something that's for us or to protect us or whatever, why is there an armed guard here? Why do you guys got guns or whatever?
Now, I suppose we could take a look at how they managed the New Orleans disaster with the, the flooding and everything, and kind of do the math and try to figure out how they handle things on a larger scale. And would we get something close to what you're seeing?
Right. Well,
do you think?
Another thing that I wanted to bring up that I actually am looking at my show notes here, MRAPs. MRAPs are they're tanks, they're mobile tanks pretty much, that the United States government is giving to police departments all around the whole United States. Okay?
Now, is that an acronym?
Go ahead.
Is that an acronym, what you just said? The cell connections.
Yeah, it's MRAP.
MRAP. What does that stand for? Is that
right.
an acronym?
I know what it is, but right now I can't remember. I know it's a military vehicle that
I see.
Looks like a tank pretty much, but it's got the four wheels or whatever. It looks like a Hummer, It's kind of like a Hummer, but a tank.
I see.
And police departments all around the United States are getting these right now as grants from the United States military.
Now,
They're just sending them out to even little hip towns that's got like 500 and 600 people in it or whatever.
now,
What the hell do they need a tank like that for?
now they're sending one tank or a fleet of tanks, or how do they determine how many tanks the police department gets?
No, they're sending like one per town.
Huh.
But, you know, people in these small towns and stuff are you know, they're calling them up, you know, calling up their cities and, you know, and whatever, you know, and calling up the mayors and, you know, the police chiefs and everything else and saying, hey, you know, what the hell is this and why do we have it here? Mm-hmm. You know, it's the simple answer is we're going to a police state. That's what all this stuff is. We're going to a police state.
Well then.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty intimidating. Sounds pretty scary. All this is going on while we're worried about what's trending on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Keep watching your cable television and overpaying for services and goods you don't need. Well, all this is going on.
Right? Well, you know, I got sick of watching the real news, you know, like turning on, you know, your nightly news and, you know, listening to whatever the hell they're trying to tell me because in my mind, it's all propaganda. Yeah. It's whatever the government wants you to know. They don't tell you the real truth. If you want the real truth, there's other ways of seeking it out on the internet, but it's definitely not your 10 o'clock news at nighttime.
I get my news personally from the Fox News Radio podcast feed. Just out of convenience, I guess. It's a quick 5-minute podcast. They release it every hour or so, and I typically listen once a day, and they start up with the world news, what's going on in other countries. Do they start out with that to cover up what's happening within our borders?
Fox does tell the truth on certain issues. They don't hide it all the time.
My point being, they're covering, well, they jump right into world news instead of covering what's going on within our borders, and then they move from that to financial, and then stuff that really doesn't matter, like incidents that happened, I don't know, cases of neglect with children, or, you know, silly stories, and it seems like they don't bother to cover ongoing issues like this, maybe because they're tagged with that crazy, it's a conspiracy theory, we're not going to cover it because there's not enough organized evidence to present it.
Sure. Well, if you listen to Fox, did you ever listen to Judge Jeanine Pirro?
No. Name does not ring a bell.
Well, let me tell you something, my friend. If you ever get a chance, listen to her. She just called out Obama the other day and told him he's a liar about Benghazi and everything that happened over there. And she wants him to be brought up on treason and, you know, and everything else, and wants him kicked out of office. And she went right on TV and called him out.
Has the administration commented on her statements at all? Or are they just ignoring
I didn't do the follow-up to it. I mean, I was just, like, totally impressed by this woman. You know, she had her own, you know, she had one of those judge shows on TV, you know, when all the judge shows, you know, were famous at the time or whatever. But then they put her on, you know, on Fox and gave her own segments and stuff. And then she puts people on blast.
Does she still have an active show on Fox?
Yeah, it just happened the other day. They actually, the other day is when she called them out. It was like, I don't know, maybe about a week ago she called them out and said that he was a liar and everything that, you know, that they stated about Benghazi was a lie, and that she wants him held accountable.
We'll have to get the audio for the outro of the show. I think it'd be important for everyone to hear that, so they know what we're talking about.
Well, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
No, right, we're coming up on...
I'll look it up right now for you.
Yeah, go ahead and give me the link, and on the outro of the show, we'll go ahead and throw that in there so people can hear it. Coming up on the end of today's episode, any other thoughts you'd like to part with?
No, this is our first show, everybody. So, it's going to be a little bit rocky, but once I know a lot of you people are looking forward to hearing what Blaine Cooper has to say.
Absolutely.
I mean, Blaine is very patriotic, and he's like the man. And it's going to be an exciting show. It's going to be a fun show with all three of us, and having Blaine on is just going to be a definite plus.
It's going to be frosting on the cake.
Absolutely. All right, we want to thank everybody for listening to the show today, and we'll probably release our next show either Monday or Tuesday, so please be listening for it. Thanks for listening.
Rage Against the Regime. Call in or text your comments to 256-344-RATR. That's 256-344-7287.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Janine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. This is the biggest cover-up since Watergate, a story no one wants to talk about. He didn't protect your sons so he could protect his presidency and the wannabe future presidency of his then Secretary of State. He didn't protect your sons, choosing instead to protect the feelings of those in the Muslim world. This week, Ben Rhodes' White House email is the Benghazi smoking gun. Susan Rice was prepped to say the so-called protests were rooted in an internet video so as not to show a broader failure of policy. Now, we've impeached a president for lying about sex with an intern. A president is resigned in the face of certain impeachment for covering up a burglary. Why wouldn't we impeach this president for not protecting and defending Americans in the bloodbath known as Benghazi? Fact: an ambassador is sent to an insecure facility that doesn't comply with minimum standards in a designated danger zone. The CIA warns of numerous al-Qaeda training camps in Benghazi. Our ambassador sends repeated emails and emergency cables for more security. Fact: it was the anniversary of 9/11. Whistleblower Greg Hicks calls Washington to advise that Ambassador Stevens said that he and the Benghazi consulate were under attack. General Carter Ham tells Washington that our consulate is under siege and our ambassador may be a hostage. Fact: everyone in Washington knew what was going on based on the drones, the satellites, the audio, the real-time phone calls. They attacked with heavy artillery and rocket-propelled grenades. Fact: it was a tight presidential race. Barack Obama campaigning as a war hero, a real commander-in-chief, claiming al-Qaeda was on its heels. But Obama loses all credibility if the nation thinks al-Qaeda destroyed our consulate and has killed 4 Americans, including our ambassador. So the conspiracy about a grotesque video begins. Former CIA Director Mike Morrell removes the word Islamist in describing the extremists. He takes out references to the previous CIA warnings of an al-Qaeda attack. Fact: the Joint Chiefs and Defense Secretary say troops couldn't get there in time to save our men on the ground.
There was not enough time, given the speed of the attack, for armed military assets to respond.
The fiction begins. It wasn't al-Qaeda. It was an anti-Muslim American-made video. Before our eyes, the terrorists become the victims, and the American victims become irrelevant. The president repeats the fiction on The View, on David Letterman, at the UN.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
You even take an ad out to apologize to the Muslim world.
Since our founding, the United States has been a nation that respects all faiths We reject all efforts to denigrate the religious beliefs of others. But there is absolutely no justification to this type of senseless violence. None.
In fact, to add insult to injury, you condemn anyone who says something negative about Islam. Mr. President, it's not about them, it's about us. You represent us. You're supposed to protect us. And instead of condemning the terrorist, you criticize free speech. I don't even think you believe in the First Amendment. And you're certainly not a man of your word.
There should be no doubt that we will be relentless in tracking down the killers and bringing them to justice.
Really? May 2014, and you still haven't brought anyone to justice. And the absurdity of your claim that spontaneous demonstrators actually brought rocket-propelled grenades to protest a video is belied by your own words yesterday.
The notion that this is some spontaneous uprising in eastern Ukraine is belied by all the evidence of well-organized, trained, armed militias with the capacity to shoot down helicopters. Generally, local protesters don't possess that capacity of surface-to-air missiles or whatever weapons were used to shoot down helicopters.
Wow. Here we are 20 months later, and it takes a judge's order to force the release of emails that the president wouldn't produce to an equal branch of government, there specifically to check and balance the president's office. And tonight, in an exclusive Justice interview, we find out that even those documents may have been tampered with. It appears that the conspiracy was so vast, the intent to obstruct the truth so uniform, that documents were withheld. The cover-up is classic. And the sad part is no one, including you, Mr. President, will tell us if you issued the cross-border authority to protect and defend Americans. Mr. President, it's called an abrogation of duty. You have not taken your oath to honestly and faithfully execute the duties of your office. As Commander-in-Chief, you have not protected us. This dereliction of duty as Commander-in-Chief demands your impeachment. Your cover-up was for political advantage. The promotion thereafter of virtually everyone involved in your conspiracy, and the stonewalling of Congress, the denying of access to key witnesses, all add up to a classic cover-up. And what's that? You were elected? There is no contract with someone who thinks that the American people are nothing more than pawns in an all-consuming power play to change who we are as a nation. You swore to protect and defend the American people, but instead you left Americans to die, not lifting a finger to help them. Mr. President, none of us want to believe that our president would let Americans die, but the arrogance, the failure to act, the lies, the cover-up make it clear that you, Mr. President, have defrauded the American people. You, Mr. President, have violated your constitutional oath. You have not faithfully executed your duties in the office of the president.